This is the Calvin D Project, where we interview interesting people driven to change the trajectories of those they serve through learning, teaching, and writing. I want to thank you for being here. We're pleased to welcome Ketra Longs, a very special guest from Los Angeles, California. Make sure you stick around because some of the most popular content is the advice portion that's at the end. So right before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can get more episodes like this one. Ketra, I want to thank you for joining the Calvin D Project podcast this week. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am living here. I'm currently living in Los Angeles, but by way of Birmingham, Alabama, 205 never forget that Wilder. That's how we know each other. Yes, I am a stand-up comedian, actress, writer, and producer. I have done television, starting films, and animation theater, just about anything you can name as far as entertainment. I've also worked in radio, any form of media. I've probably worked in at all capacities of it. So
in a lot of cases, women are reluctant to move to a new state or away from home. What gave you the confidence to move from California to follow your dream?
When you are from a smaller city that's not known for entertainment, primarily for entertainment, we've had some amazing people come out of the state of Alabama and some excellent cultural movements and political officials and historical figures and singers. A lot of people derive from that place, but it's also not a place that thrives or lends itself to growing your talent or your individuality. I think early on, at a young age, I knew that I was going to leave. Just observing, which is currently what I do right now professionally. I'm just observing my environment and the things that went on there and how people move. As an adolescent, I saw some of the same things day in and day out, and my imagination was just so vivid. It was just, entertainment was just pouring out of me, and I know I had to get it out of me creatively. You know, I got in trouble for being class clown. I was in theater, but I grew up in inner city. So my mom didn't have a lot of money. My grandmother certainly didn't have a lot of money. So they couldn't cultivate these things, cultivate my talents as much as child of a different environment. They couldn't do that. They couldn't be at my spelling bees or at my track meets or my basketball games. So I kind of had to figure it out. And I always knew I wanted to be in LA. So I got to college. I felt like it was kind of the end of the road as to what I wanted to do, because I never wanted to go to college. But of course, to please my family, I was gonna get the degree. And I did. I finished college in 3.5 years, and they had an exchange program. And one day, randomly, I won like some type of raffle on campus. They were doing an exchange program, and they called me into the office and said, "Hey, you won this." I went to an HBCU. Shout out to Alabama State University Hornets. I didn't even know we had an exchange program. You know, those are things that people's minds need to be open to. As far as culturally, I believe I got a lot of knowledge from college, but as far as a worldview, I think that was what was missing for me in my college experience. They asked me where I wanted to go. When I won this raffle, I did, and they were like, "Okay, you can go anywhere. You can do a semester at C, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "I'm going to LA." And they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's the only place I ever really wanted to go." Because my uncle lived out here, and when I was younger, I had come to Sacramento, but it's nothing like Los Angeles. That was my first dose of LA. Man, it was a whole situation, but I ended up not exactly in LA, but I was able to get around it. And once I had to go back home, I knew I had to hustle and make a way to get out of here. I never had any fears. You know, I'm kind of the baby, so I'm kind of like the wild child in my family. I never had any fears. I just knew I had this passion and this talent, and I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see if I could do it.
What was your welcome to Los Angeles moment when you realized that you were actually living your dream?
Oh, you know what? I think it was the first time I stepped on stage at the world famous Comedy Store. And what's so funny is I actually did stand up because somebody told me to do stand-up. I still didn't exactly know what stand-up was, but obviously I had been making people laugh for years back home. And then when I came out here, I was still continuing in the same fashion. Once I got out here, and they were like, you should do stand-up. And one day, randomly, I was on Craigslist, and there was an ad. Are you funny? Can you hold the audience? I was like, yes, I can do audience. And I answered that ad. And then I did what you call a bringer show, which is where you bring your audience, your friends. And of course, they're going to laugh at you because they know you. It's more personal. They're going to support you because they want to see you do well. I got on stage in the belly room at the world famous Comedy Store. And man, I thought I tore him up. I thought I killed it. I did. I killed him. But it was like 20 of my friends and like probably 50 more people. But I was killing it. The next 100 times after that, I bombed. So.
But you make a good point because a lot of people think they're funny. And in front of our friends, it's all good. They laugh at us. They can just look at us and we might start laughing. But from a comedic standpoint, to be a comedian, you don't know them people. And they might not think you funny. I mean, you're a comedian now, so at some point you got it.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, again, like I said, I was always class clown. I didn't exactly know what stand-up was, but I knew I'd watched the Def Jams. I knew I'd watched Martin, Dave Chappelle. I remember Dave Chappelle actually has a joke. It was the first joke and probably the only joke ever that I could recite like word for word, line for line. Remember his movement, the annotations in his voice and everything. Once I found out that you could get paid for that, I was like, oh, that's a job. That's a real career. I got to figure it out. And then after I got on stage, I was like, oh, even after I failed, I was like, oh, I got to figure this out because I know I have the ability to do this. Like, I mean, I'm used to being funny in front of my friends, but learn the craft to it. The delineation between being a funny person or yourself to being an extension of yourself before other people and have them laugh in unison all at once. To your friends, you really don't have to make sense because it's that commonality. It's that bond. Y'all share a lot of the same. Most people share commonalities with their friends or with their peers, and you might be able to look at your friend and laugh. You can't just go on stage and stare at the audience. So you have to bring whatever your ideas and your thoughts are. You have to reach a place of commonality for everyone in the room. And that is the art to it, which most people don't understand. They think because that's the job, to make it seem very conversational, to make it seem like you're just thinking of it on the fly, and then to get people to agree or get on your wave thought, even if they aren't, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense. You have to get your job. Our job is to get everybody in that room to believe what you're saying and to find the humor in it.
You talked about people get on that stage. So who would you say are 3 comedians that you know that are really good, but the casual person that likes stand-up comedy might not know about?
My favorite comedian right now, and I would tell people top 5, just Tanisha Rice out of Chicago. One of my favorite comedians. Very, very talented. Miss Pat. People should know Miss Pat though. People should know, and if you don't, check her out. Miss Pat has a show on BET Plus. Ida Rodriguez, she has a special on HBO Max. Love her. Most of these are women. I'm going to name more women. Zainab Johnson. Janelle James was on the stand-ups on Netflix. Zainab is on Upload on Amazon Prime. Oh my God, it's so many. Jackie Fabulous. She was on America's Got Talent. These are some of my mentors and people that like looked out for me when I first started comedy. Kimberly Clark. Yeah, you see her on season 2 of They Ready. Tiffany Haddish's They Ready. Erin Jackson. She was also on They Ready. Hilarious. Yamanika Saunders. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't say her. Oh, and my girl, for sure, Nicole Byer. Oh, Nicole Byer is so funny. That's my girl. Should have said her like at least at the 2 spot. But you know Nicole. If you see these, you know I love you, Nicole. So many. And then you got Linnell, Leslie Jones. I take bits and pieces from each one of these women and learn and grow with them. And I hope I do the same for them. But But they call me the young gun, because I guess I'm the baby. But absolutely, those women, please support all of them, each and every one of them that I listed.
You appeared on Freeform, Showtime, BET, Comedy Central. You was in the movie Life of a King starring Oscar winner Cuba Gooding Jr. So tell us about, what can you share with us about any projects that you're working on at this time?
Oh yeah. Only the one thing that I'm super, super, super excited about, man. It's supposed to be coming out in the fall, but we'll see. Can't really talk about it because, you know, we be signing waivers and disclosures and gag orders basically to shut up about it, but I'm really, really excited about that. But I'm always on stages in clubs around the country, in clubs and venues around the country. In
closing, what advice would you like to give to an aspiring comedian, actor, or writer? Or what is the best advice you've ever received?
Do it. And it sounds like such a small, like, and a meaningless thing, but do it. Every single time I meet, like, my favorite celebrity, when I met Chappelle, when I met Martin, when I met anybody that, like, I've aspired to or seen. I mean, like, all the people we watched growing up that we saw on TV that are now my peers. Sarah Silverman, who's also one of my favorite comedians. Just a great person to know. And I think that we don't get in the Black community to start young, start doing it. Black parents, cultivate your kids' talents young. If they're 5 and they say they want to be an astronaut, cultivate that. Singers, I mean, and you might not feel like they're the best at it, but a lot of times I find it's hard. You know, a lot of it is heart and your capacity, the will to keep going. That's most of this, because you're going to be told, I think what we don't understand a lot of in our community, you're going to be told no your whole life. You way more no's than you're going to hear yeses. So we need to be the first people to tell our children, our nieces, our nephews, our loved ones, the youth, yes. We need to be the first one to say, yes, you can. And put them in the arts, put them around people, as many people as you know, reach out, connect, because you'll spend your first 10 years just learning. Your first 10 years is just learning, you know, and building those relationships. The relationships that I made when I first came out here are just starting to play out right now. So it's just people seeing you stick with it. A lot of it is people seeing you stick with it and outworking people.
For my audience that wants to connect with you, how do we find you?
Ketra Long on Facebook, Ketra Long on Instagram. I prefer Instagram people. Some of y'all Facebook me, and I really don't see y'all messages until weeks or months later. I'm really not a Facebook person. You can go in there and see that I'm not a Facebook person. But Instagram is the best way to connect. Add me. Twitter, officially Ketra. Snapchat, officially Ketra. Ketra Long everywhere. KetraLong.com. Just Ketra Long. It's almost copyrighted too. So y'all ain't gonna be able to try to make Ketra Long t-shirts and sell them outside of my shows.
Ketra, I want to say thank you for being a guest on the Calvin D Project. For my audience, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can get more episodes like this one. And thank you for listening to the Calvin D Project.